Hey everyone, it's me, Carla, with www.intuitivesparks.com. I am working on giving you my journey into the supernatural with God. This is part two. There's going to be several parts to this series. My goal here is to try to help people realize. I've had some questions from some of my viewers. They're wanting to know how to figure out what they are. Are they a medium? Are they a psychic? Um, are they a seer? Prophet? What word do we use? Also, I've got some people that have a strong religious family background and trying to help them figure out the best way to come out to their family about their spiritual gifts. And this is just my way of trying to help those with doing that. This is my journey, and so I'm just taking you down it with me. The first video was pretty sad, but the rest is just going to be amazing, my experiences. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, things you'd like to share, you're welcome to put them below in the comment section, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you. Okay, so I left off on the ending of the first video. It was my parents' birthday, and that was the 3rd. Well, my dad passed on the 3rd. Their birthday was the 4th. Well, his funeral was the 5th of January. And I had already had my whole life, like I told you guys, a knowing of things. I could see auras, and I just knew things. I just knew it, and I went with it. Just like I said, that I didn't think my dad was going to be around much longer, and it's just a knowing, and it's just like it's your intuition. It's just a strong feeling in your gut, and you need to follow that in any aspect of your life, because that's your higher self telling you. That's one way to know that we've all got these gifts, but when they start to open up for us, that's one way to just kind of trust in it and go with it. So January 5th was his funeral, and we all go to the funeral and everything. And after the funeral, there was a graveside service. And, after that, all of us kind of stayed around after all the people left. And we took some pictures and all. I took a ton of pictures. I took pictures of the grave area, and then I took pictures just around, the vicinity of the graveyard, and really wasn't thinking that much about it, but I probably took 20 pictures maybe. And so we all left and went home, and that night, of course, was emotional. And I can remember going to bed that night, and my husband was beside me in the bed, and he had already fallen asleep. And I was just kind of reminiscing on the day, thinking back to the events of the day. And I thought, let me get my phone, and I was going to look through the pictures that I had taken. This is when it was just unreal, you guys. So I'm laying there in the bed, and it's dark. And the first picture I open up was, you could see my stepbrother in the picture, and you could see my dad's grave. In the background of the graveyard, there were just trees and everything there. And when I first glanced at it, I got scared. And so I immediately turned my phone off, because I saw spirits everywhere, and I didn't know what in the world to think. I'd never seen this before. And it was, as soon as I opened it up, it was like, boom, they were there. I'm talking at least 50. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and it scared me. My husband was asleep, and I really didn't know what to think. So I was scared to look through the pictures. Literally, I was scared to look at the pictures. So I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning when it's daylight and look. So I turned my phone off, and I tried my best to go to sleep. The whole night, waking up, every little bit, thinking, oh my gosh, I really want to look at these pictures. and I didn't know what to think. I was scared to look at them. I really was. I was so scared to look at the pictures. So the next morning, I wake up and everybody's getting up and getting dressed, and Mama wanted to go back to the funeral home, and my husband was over in the kitchen doing something, and I was getting ready to get my shower to get ready. And all I could do was think about those pictures, but I didn't dare say anything to my husband or my mother, of course, because she's just, we're all traumatized by my dad's death. But so still very emotional the day after the funeral. And I'm just busting at the seams to open this camera up and look at these pictures. I'm scared to, but I'm wanting to, you know, I'm like, I have got to look at these pictures. So I go in the bathroom and I shut the door and I open the pictures up, and there they were, all of these spirits. And I started flipping through the pictures, just flipping through them. They're in every single one of them, you guys. And I had never seen this on anything I had ever taken or any pictures. And I could not believe it. You know, at first I was scared to look, and then I really wanted to look. And it was as if all of these spirit people had come out and were there viewing my dad's graveside service. It was just unreal. There were women, children, men, I mean, visible. You could see their faces. You could see everything they had on. It was almost as if they were in a black and white type. They weren't in full color in the pictures, but you can see them. I'm going to have to post these pictures. But it was almost like they were transparent, but you could see them. It was a grayish, black and white color. Looked like old black and white photos. But there was a man there. He was sitting there propping up beside of a tree, and he had his hand like this, and it's kind of like propping up on a stump. It was like they were all just sitting there watching the graveside service. And I'm like, holy moly. I didn't know what to think, but I did know that definitely there was proof. You know, there were spirits there. There are spirits all around us. They were there watching his service, and I somehow captured them on film. And so I was just dying to tell somebody. Well, my stepbrother that I mentioned to you guys, he's very spiritual. He's always believed that, you know, he's not awakened to his gifts, but he's always believed that there is more to life than what we can visibly see. And he was coming over that morning to go with us back to my dad's grave to visit and look at the flowers and stuff. And I was just dying for him to get over there. Well, of course, when he got there, Mama was ready to go, so we had to go do that and went to the grave and everything. And then we came back, and I think the church or somebody, there was a lot of food left over, so everybody came and stayed and ate and was hanging out. So after lunch that day, I told him, his name's Harry. I said, Harry, I've got something to show you, and you are going to die. You are not going to believe it. And he said, what is it? And I started explaining to him what I just told you guys about laying in the bed the night before and opening up my camera. And he's like, oh my God, let me see. So I go and get my phone, and I start showing him the pictures, and he immediately saw it. And he was like, oh my gosh, Toots. He called me Tootsie as well, because that's what everybody called me. My dad started that. And I just could not believe it. And he couldn't believe it. But it was just like, really brought us comfort. It made us feel good. After I got through that initial shock of being scared, it brought comfort to me. Knowing that if I could see them and they could see us, I mean, it was total proof for me. This is what started me 100% on my journey to finding out, to opening, to becoming all that I've become today. Because I knew there was so much more than I had ever imagined. And I knew that I had to find out everything I could about it. You know, and looking back now, I really feel like that they showed themselves to me now because it was part of my path. I think it was like, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity to see us because you're here to help people, and we're going to give you this little push. I'm not sure. Still trying to figure that one out. But after I'd showed my brother the photos, he was like, oh my gosh, we got to show everybody. Well, he showed his wife, Debbie, and I showed David, and they were all kind of like, they didn't know what to think, of course, because they're not as into, everything like Harry and I were at the time. But Mama was like, what are y'all looking at? And we didn't know if she was ready mentally to see this, but we showed her, and she saw it, and she didn't have much to say. She just kind of looked at it. Mama was very depressed because we had just buried her husband, my dad. She didn't have a lot to say, but she was like, well, that's amazing. She just calm and at peace. But I knew, wow, we've got something major here. And it just really brought me comfort. It gave me some joy during that difficult time. They say that when you lose a loved one or you have something major going on in your life that causes grief or sadness, that a lot of people tend to open or awaken or experience things of the supernatural like this, because it's like you're more open to receive it. A lot of people that I have listened and learned from and researched from have started on their spiritual path or journey through the loss of a loved one. So it's just amazing to me. But that's where it started. So I had the photos from the graveyard service, and I showed them really to my whole family, going on that week. I stayed with my mom that whole next week, and I had to go home for a couple of days. So I came back to South Carolina because if you remember in part one, my mom had to have back surgery like the next week. So I went home for a couple of days to make sure everything was good at home with Rex and David, and hated to leave my mom because she was still just so emotionally distraught. But she did not want to cancel that back surgery because she was in a lot of pain. So I came back, and the night before back surgery, they were expecting us to have snow, and in fact, it did snow. So we didn't know the next morning if we were going to be able to get her to the hospital or what. And that night, I decided that I wanted to experiment a little bit, and I got my camera, just my cell phone camera. And my dad used to have this spot on the back porch where he'd always sit all day long. He'd sit out there every single day, listen to the birds. He'd read the Bible, listen to the radio. He loved Rush Limbaugh. And there was a beautiful cement koi fish pond that he had built off to the side here, and the waterfall coming down. That was his peaceful area. So I thought, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to take some pictures that night. It had started snowing, and so I took some pictures of the porch area where he sat, and the snow was sticking to the fish pond, and something just caught me to go over there and take some pictures of it. Well, I took some pictures of the koi fish pond with the snow on it, and it was dark outside. And my dad had this light that would kind of shine up so you could see the pond. And my stepbrother was inside with my mom. He was over again visiting. And I took some pictures, and I came back inside. And I didn't tell everybody what I had done, but I started looking through the pictures. And I did not see anything on the porch where my dad sat, because this whole time I was outside, I must tell you, I was talking to him. And I was like, Bill, I know you're here. I know you're around here. You're with us. I said, if there is any way possible, can you please just give me a sign? And at this time, I had not learned anything, done any research on trying to open up and working on your clairs and meditating. I didn't know any of that at this time. I just knew that I had seen them in the pictures before, and I wanted to see if I could get something at home in a picture. So you guys, I went back inside, and I opened those pictures up. Didn't see one thing on the porch where my dad always sat. But when I got to the pond picture, I could not believe it. Oh my gosh. I opened that picture up, and right beside the waterfall, you know how you can take your fingers and enlarge the picture on your phone? Perfectly visible was my dad. From here up, from his head to about right here, I could see him. And he had poked his head out, and he was smiling. And I about fell out of my chair. I could not believe it. And I started crying. I'm trying my best not to cry on this video. I started crying, and I was like, oh my God. So I called my stepbrother in there because I was in the kitchen. I said, Harry, you have got to come see this. And I showed him that picture, and he started crying. Could clearly see Bill. Clearly see him. We couldn't believe it. He said, you have got to forward that picture to me. So I did. And we both cried. And we knew right then he was with us, and he could hear us. And I was on a mission, y'all. I was on a mission. I thanked him and told him I loved him. And, you know, it's just amazing. It was amazing. I was on a mission then. I was going to do everything I could do to learn everything I could. I had to talk to him. I wanted to be able to communicate with him. So at this point in time, I had decided, after Mama's surgery, I had to stay with her that week. Whole time I'm there, I'm taking more pictures. Took pictures in her hospital room and all. Didn't see anything. Didn't see anything else after I took the picture of my dad at the pond. But I was there another week and trying to help her recuperate and everything. And when I went home, that 5-hour drive home, after being there, I turned on YouTube and I Googled. And I started researching. So that 5 hours, I had YouTube playing all the way home. Just life after death, everything, anything I could imagine. That's how it all began for me, you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, part 2. I look forward to getting part 3 started. But this is how it all began for me, my journey to the supernatural with God, and my mission to learn and help others in any way I can. So, hope y'all have a beautiful day. Much love and light. Please remember you can visit me at www.intuitivesparks.com. And I look forward to part 3. Thanks.